to listen to the Lap Traffic Podcast.
What is up, Lap Traffic Nation? Welcome to a Wednesday edition. The Siren episode 209 of the Lap Traffic Podcast. And hey, isn't that ironic? It's episode 209, and the number 9 of Chase Elliott is our 2020 NASCAR champion. Oh, I love when things work out like that. What's up, everybody? Man, what a weekend of racing. The 2020 NASCAR season is in the books. There were times we didn't even know if we were going to get this damn season in. And man, here it is. All 36 races are in the books and done. Cannot wait to talk about that tonight. That is for sure. Like I said last week, it's a rare Wednesday night show. I was traveling for work Sunday until this afternoon. And leave it to me to have to travel when it's 70 degrees and sunny in November in the state of Michigan, headed to Florida with a damn tropical storm and hurricane. But I guess the odds are pretty good. Not PETM, go to the racetrack and bring rain odds, but pretty good still nonetheless. I kid, of course. Had a great trip, great conference, all that good stuff. Got to the hotel plenty of time Sunday to watch the race, which was awesome. I'll get to that here in a bit. A couple funny things. One, it is 6:24 as I am recording this part right now, and I literally landed 3:30 at Detroit Metro, about a 45-minute ride home, quick stop at the store, got the work computer and all that hooked back up, and boom, here we are recording episode 209. Pretty excited about that. But the one funny thing is anybody that's been to Florida knows that, especially along the coastal areas there, when it comes to straws, they're not a fan of plastic straws, understandably so. And so they have paper straws. And yeah, you all know I like my vodka, and I drink it with a straw. And last year, Homestead, hanging out with Kathleen, KHI fan, and we all just joked about how we hate these paper straws, even though get the reason, right? So a couple months ago, Kathleen sent me reusable metal straws, and it wasn't until that I got down to Florida on Sunday, took that first sip out of a paper straw and was like, oh man, damn it. Why didn't I bring the straws from Kathleen? So that's funny there. A couple of items of note, very excited. The end of the year awards ballot is live. You can go to the website, thelaptrafficpodcast.com, click the trophies and the picture there, and that will take you to the survey. It will take about literally a minute to a minute and a half to do. I'll be tweeting it out constantly. There are some fun categories. This has become a very cool tradition of the show, and that'll be live. It went live yesterday. I'll keep it up at least until next Tuesday, maybe into Wednesday or Thursday. I just got to see how long it's going to take to order the trophies and the hardware and all that good stuff for the award winners, the Lap Traffic Fantasy winners, so that I've got that so that I can get those mailed out to everybody. So go vote. Have some fun with that. It's always a good time. Next week's show, I'm thinking of doing a listener call-in show. So if you want to partake, hit me up. You can DM me. You can email me. You can go to the website, fill out the contact page. So here's how we'll do it. Depending on the response, if I get anywhere between 1 to 5, we'll do one show Tuesday. If I get somewhere between 4 and 10, I'll split it up and I'll do 4 or 5 on Tuesday and 4 or 5 on a Thursday show next week. So depending on the response, maybe we'll do 2 shows next week, maybe not. We'll see. So if you want to partake, like I said, listener call-in show, talk about whatever you guys want. The season, Chase, you want to shoot the shit about the holiday, whatever you want to do. Open forum. It's the end of the season. We'll have some fun with it. So if you want to partake and be a part of listener call-in shows next week, hit me up any way you want, and we'll get you scheduled for time to record. All right. Then the week after that will be the Lucky Dog and Lap Down recaps on the season. So stay tuned. There's still one more chance for you guys to send in some picks for Lucky Dog and Lap Down. And then the week after that or so, we'll do the awards. So maybe I'll keep the ballot open for maybe an extra week or so, because I might have some time there. So hope you guys enjoyed last week's show with Steve Letarte. Always a great time talking with him. And tonight, I got you covered. Show format's going to be a little different from here on out until we go back racing. There's no weather. There's really no fantasy, so we're just going to have some fun with things, bounce around a bit and all that good stuff. But tonight, Jeff Striegle is going to be back. We're going to talk some stuff. We got some stuff to talk about. I got my Clint Boyer shirt on in honor of it being Boyer's last race this past weekend, all that good stuff. Get into all that. Jeff and I are going to recap trucks, Xfinity Cup, all that good stuff. Social media shout outs. And your lap traffic fantasy winner, Joe Huson, is going to be on. Very excited. So plenty to do. Let's get episode 209 rolling. All right, Lap Traffic Nation, I am so excited. Joining me on the line, making his 14th appearance on the Lap Traffic Podcast. He's one of the voices behind the call at MRN Radio. He is the defending guest of the year from last year's Lap Traffic Award show, and will be looking to defend. Welcome back to the show, Mr. Jeff Striegle. Sir, good evening. How are you?
I'm good, Brandon. I'm real good. Happy postseason. For those of you that haven't gotten out and voted yet, by all means, get out and vote for their lap traffic.
Yes.
All of those different things that you got going on. I looked at it the other day, and you got a lot of different things up there for people to weigh in on. I like it.
Thank you.
Always good to be back with you.
Yes,
yeah.
Thank you. Glad to have you. Let's see. Before we get into the nuts and bolts, how was travel? Are you adjusted back to the Eastern time zone yet? Is the boat out of the water? How's life?
Well, life is good. My boat is out of the water. It will be now for the next, I think I still got, according to my calendar, and I have a countdown to May 15 when I can put it back in the water. I don't know, it's something like 7 months between now and then. And as you know, we have had just spectacular weather here in the state of Michigan right up until today.
Yes.
So
I take full blame for that. Like I leave Michigan in November and it's 70 degrees and I go down to Marco Island where it was, tropical storm nonsense. And then I come back and here it is, typical Michigan weather. So yeah, I missed out.
Well, yeah, I feel your pain. We left, the MRN crew, most of us left all on Thursday. And when I left Grand Rapids, it was mid 70s, 78 degrees, record high. Got back yet. We had a record high yesterday, and today I think we hit 38. So, welcome winter.
Yes.
The racing season is over. Winter is right on time like it is every year. Normally we come back from Homestead to snow. We don't have snow yet, but as you know, it's coming. So, travel was good. Phoenix was great. I felt like they really did a nice job, but I've always felt that track has done a nice job. They've got great management there with Julie Giese and her team. I thought they did as much as they could. I would have liked to have seen a sold out, grandstands, of course, but that's going to have to wait. The track was good. The weather was great. We had fun. Everything that we would hoped to have accomplished while we were down there. And of course that means good racing. I think we checked all the boxes for sure.
Fantastic. Yes, absolutely. All right. Well, let's talk about some of it. Jeff, incredible year overall. We started off like normal. We had a gap in the season. We went back full force. We had regular season dominators. And depending on how you look at it, maybe a Cinderella ending. Initial thoughts, just looking back on the season as a whole. How would you sum up 2020's NASCAR racing season?
Well, I'll tell you what, before we start naming drivers, how about if we look back at it really what we all endured? It was crazy because when I was on the airplane and making some notes and commercial tosses and things like that, commercial rejoins, it was like, okay, the last time I was at Phoenix was, we were rolling. We were 4 races in. We were off to a hot start. We had all the things that went on at Daytona with Ryan Newman, not in a positive way. I don't mean it that way, but just all of the hype that was going on. And as we left there, we all remember that we knew that there was, that COVID-19 was out there, but we didn't really know to what degree, because I recall having conversation with some of the guys on the Motor Racing Network team going, this could shut us down. And we were talking about that, as early as California 2 weeks prior.
Okay.
And it was like, this could shut us down. Well, let's fast forward and ramp up the speed here. Everything came to a stop. We were done, maybe for good for 2020. And then 70 days later, we're like, we can do this. And I think that the reason I bring it up is because I believe that NASCAR really does deserve the gold star for not allowing us to get shut down. We were not going to stand by and watch. We were going to be a leader. And by doing so, we got our season in. When you think about it, by the time we got to August, we were back on schedule. And that 10-race run to the championship went off exactly how it was scheduled long before the pandemic. So, I think you got to start there, Brandon. When we talk about a highlight in the middle of a challenging situation, I think we got to start with the pandemic and the way that NASCAR became a model for how other sporting organizations or venues did it. And yet, even still, I think we did it above and beyond what everybody else did. So I think we start there and applaud NASCAR for even allowing you and I to have this conversation at this particular point.
100%. I couldn't agree with you more. I know you and I have talked a couple times over the year on air, about NASCAR taking that initiative and just being, as small as this podcast is, it's still a part of the sport to a degree. And I felt proud when we went back and that, we were able to sustain once going back. We didn't have nearly as many issues. Granted, our sport's a little different than, we don't have a big locker room full of 60 guys or anything like that, so there are some differences in terms of, why other sports may have had issues that NASCAR didn't have. We're fortunate to be a completely outdoor sport, except if you're Texas. But,
right.
Everything just worked out, and it was so awesome to see NASCAR be the model for other major sports in the country getting back, which was really cool.
Yeah, and I agree. And I'll just put a cap on that and say, while you're 100% right, other sports also don't have a entourage of 1,000 people traveling with their teams. You got to think about NASCAR officials, all of the support staff that Jimmy Johnson has in the way of truck drivers and guys that go over the wall and guys that work on the car. So again, just absolutely spectacular that we're here. Where do we go from here? We can talk about later, but at the same time, our season is complete, and now we can talk about how we are all shocked that Kevin Harvick didn't win the championship, how we're all shocked that Denny Hamlin. If Kevin Harvick didn't win the championship, then certainly Denny did. No. Nope. And no. Yeah. I did a thing. I don't typically do it a lot, but on Facebook, every once in a while, I like to interact with the people that follow. And I said, who's going to be the championship for? And I said that, I don't know, a couple weeks before the final cutoff race at Martinsville. And I went back and looked, and I'm guessing here that 100 people interacted and said, I think it's going to be this guy, this guy, this guy, and this guy. But I will tell you this, Brandon, that every single post, every single one had Harvick and somebody else.
Sure.
And not every single post had Denny or Chase or whatever, but every single one had Kevin Harvick. And I don't think people really understand. Now, I shouldn't say people, some people, they don't understand our sport the way it's played today. We always seem like we want to go back 17 years ago when we added up every single point all year long and we awarded a champion. And it's like, okay, that's cool, but man, that's 17 years ago. You know what I was doing 17 years ago? What were you doing 17 years ago? It's like, my gosh, man, that's not how we play the game.
No.
The game has changed, and it's changed a lot over the years. And, you and I've had this conversation, and I want your opinion as well. You and I have talked about this before. The reason that I like our playoff system as it stands today is it reminds me of March Madness.
Yes.
And,
yes.
Let's take the Duke Blue Devils. They roll through regular season undefeated. Well, does that automatically mean that they don't have to participate in March Madness and they suddenly become our national champion? No, of course not. They have to play the game the way that the game has been laid out. And that means they got to play number 16 Santa Barbara State. And you know what? If they get beat right then and there, their season is over.
Yep.
And when you look back, as I wrap up this, and when you look back at what Kevin Harvick did during the playoffs, it wasn't what he did during the regular season.
No, not even close.
Not even close. And so, you can talk about how the guy rolled and rolled and rolled. And you know what? I give him and that team a hell of a lot of credit. They were fantastic. But they weren't fantastic in the playoffs, and that's when the Yankees get beat or New England Patriots get beat. And some people will come back and say, yeah, well, we're the only only racing entity that does it. Maybe we are.
Okay.
But the fact of the matter is we do it, and therefore we need to play by the rules, and the rules state that you have to progress through each round, and if you don't, it's over. Yep. And oh, by the way, Harvick was a non-factor on Sunday. So, again, maybe the driver of the year as far as that goes, Kevin Harvick. But at the end of the day, he was not our champion. What do you think?
I'm with you 100%. I said it on my interview with 92.9 The Ticket on Friday morning. They had said, how does a guy like Kevin Harvick not get there? And I said, you got to view it from a stick and ball sport in that perspective. A good regular season gets you to the playoffs, but you have to have a great playoffs to win the championship. And Kevin Harvick did not have a great playoffs. He had the Bristol win early, which was great. But great win, awesome piece of hardware to put up, but you don't need to win early if you're Kevin Harvick, Denny Hamlin. You got to get to the round of 8. And when you have the caliber of drivers that we had in the round of 8, you needed to have a flawless season. I'm sure Kevin's probably looking back at Kansas, woulda, coulda, shoulda with Joey Logano for 50 laps and that incredible ending. I mean, I loved every second of that race. Like, I was on the edge of my seat for 50 laps at a 1.5-mile track. That's not something we get to say often. That was awesome. I loved every second of that. Texas, could, what if, you can what if things, till you're blue in the face. What if they had thrown the caution earlier, brought him down? He doesn't slap the wall. Does he have a higher points lead coming out of tech? All this kind of stuff. But regardless, he still had a significant points lead. They didn't bring a great car to Martinsville. It's not one of his better tracks. And, I'm stunned, but not stunned at the same time when I look at, how things played out. Like, yeah, you know what? He didn't get there. And, I posed this question, and I want to get your thoughts on this. Not that I want it to happen, but I just wanted to engage, some interaction from the listeners, and I got a bunch of stuff to read off from them a little later on here. But I just threw this out there. What would your thought be? And like I said, I don't want it, but I was just thinking because, everyone, I can't believe Harvick's not racing for it. I can't believe that, everyone that I saw on Twitter was like, I can't believe Harvick's not racing. Okay, fine. Well, here would have been the solution this year for that. What if the regular season winner got an automatic? Okay, there we go.
No.
I'm with you.
But heck
I'm
no.
with you.
No.
I'm with you.
And that goes, I just, oh my gosh, I just, no. I mean, I suppose if that's what everybody decided they wanted to do, that's fine. But here's the deal. What are we trying to fix here?
Right.
Are we trying to fix Harvick fans that are disappointed that their driver didn't make it to the championship? I want to take you to this. I want to take you down this school of thought. Who had more playoff points going into the playoffs than any other driver?
Yep. With 15
Harvick.
extra. Yeah.
Harvick.
He got his cushion. He had his cushion.
He had more opportunity to advance than any other driver in the playoffs,
Yep.
and he was not able to do it.
Yep.
It is not the system that broke down.
No.
It was the fact that Harvick peaked during the regular season and couldn't back it up during the playoffs. I saw that, Brandon. That's why I knew where you were headed.
Yeah.
and I've had that asked of me before. It's
Yeah.
like, do they? And here's my example. And again, I know that the naysayers are going to say, but we're not playing basketball, or we're
Yeah.
not playing, baseball. If Duke is the number one overall seed of the 64 teams going into March Madness,
Yep.
why don't we just advance them to the final game?
Right.
And then whoever makes it out of the tournament automatically plays them. How in the world is that fair?
Right. No. Yeah.
How in the world, or the best team in baseball, pick a team, New York Yankees. They're the best team in baseball by record. So rather than having the playoffs, they automatically advance to the World Series to play whatever other team makes it through.
Yep.
Why would that? Why
Yeah.
would we even think that that's a pretty good reward. Now, and you know what? I'm not a hypocrite. I understand why somebody is saying that. I get it. But I would have to go back and say, don't you think that that's a little too steep of a reward? The fact that they are the regular season. And I look at it this way. I'll finish my thought. Don't you think that's a little steep of a reward for a driver winning the regular season? I don't recall this same philosophy, Brandon, when Kyle Busch was the regular season champion.
It's crazy how that works.
Where was the
sometimes.
outpouring?
Great call. I love that. Yes. No, I'm with you. And one of the teams I look back, the New England Patriots going into the Super Bowl undefeated, and
Correct.
Eli Manning owes Tom Brady 2 Super Bowl rings, and I say that just because I'm a fan, But hey,
Yeah.
it didn't pan out. I love the fact that everyone is as passionate. That just brings, passion to the sport. And I love everything about that. But, I honestly think, the playoff points that get awarded after race 26, we don't get to have a home race, home court advantage like we do in the stick and ball sports for your record and all that kind of stuff. So that extra 15 points, that was like your, home field advantage, if you will. And it doesn't always pan out. The system is maybe set up so that you've got a better chance of doing it. But just like you mentioned with March Madness, just because you're playing, a state college, basically a community level college, every once in a while, someone's going to strike gold. And, that's what happened. So,
Well, I think the other thing, too, that I heard a lot of is, there should be a bigger reward for drivers that win. And I'm like, bigger than advancing automatically to the next round?
right.
But their comment was, well, he won 8 times during the regular season. That what does that mean? Well, it means that he was racking up playoff points to get, so that he'd have a cushion when he got there. Well, I know, but there needs to be a bigger reward for winning. How about understanding the playoffs the way they're written? If you win, you advance. How much bigger do you want?
Right.
I mean, ask Chase Elliott that.
Right.
If he doesn't win at Martinsville, we're not having this conversation.
Sure.
So I just don't know that I always understand. I always like to listen. And Brandon, I hope that the listeners of this podcast don't feel like I'm a brick wall, because I'm not. I will listen to absolutely anything. I've always been that way. I don't care whether we're talking politics or auto racing. I'll listen. Absolutely. I'll listen. I'll listen with an open mind, and either agree that, hey, you know what? I've never looked at it that way, and you're right. Or I've heard, your opinion, and quite honestly, I don't agree. I don't expect people that are listening to you and I to automatically agree to every single thing that we say. That's that's probably not going to happen. But at the same time, I just feel like right now we have a good thing going.
Yeah.
And I personally don't see the need to make wholesale changes to something just to fit the narrative of an individual group of fans that, quite honestly, probably are wearing number 4 shirts right now.
Yep.
And,
I hear you. It's, our sample size of this playoff format really isn't that big, 7 times like that's not a lot. And for things to have worked out very well and provided an exciting 3 races, leading up to eliminate from 8 to 4 and the final race, I think NASCAR kind of hit a home run with the playoff format, to be honest with you. I don't want to see any drastic changes to the playoffs. I think we've got drastic changes, obviously, coming with the 2021 schedule, and that's exciting. And let's, the change, 6 road courses, Roval / road course, however you want to categorize that, but 6 of those next year. Dirt next year, mile and a half and some new tracks that we've never raced at before. And, that could have implications on the playoffs, which could make things more exciting, So let's see what the new schedule impacts the playoffs, and let's keep this alone at least for 3 more years. Let's get at least 10 in under this before we go maybe making changes or anything to the format.
Well, and I agree with you completely. You also got California being built out here or out, on the West Coast. I guess I really feel like somebody has to identify what's broken before I would jump to say, let's fix something. And just because my favorite driver didn't advance to the championship is not the reason that I feel like we need to fix something. As you well know, I'm a Michigan State Spartan fan. Michigan State Spartans in basketball have made the Final Four, I think, more times in the last, I don't know, whatever it is, when Tom Izzo's been coached 12, 16 years, than any other college basketball team. It doesn't mean that they've won the championship more. They get beat. And it's like, okay, you know what? The season's over. And, it doesn't matter if it happens in round 1 or the championship game. There's going to come a time when you're going to get beat. And it doesn't necessarily mean that we have to completely overhaul the system.
Absolutely. I'm with you. All right. You mentioned the West Coast and all that. Let's talk about the West Coast. Phoenix's first championship weekend is in the books. We saw exciting restarts, some late race cautions in the truck in the Xfinity Series. Did the track change help, hurt, no difference in moving from Homestead? What'd you think of the move to Phoenix this year?
Oh, man, how transparent do I want to be on this one? You know me, I'm usually pretty much an open book. Let's start again with a compliment to Julie and her team at the track. I thought they did a great job. The facility was ready to go. And Friday and Saturday, it produced a knockout. Now, what happens if we don't get a green, white, checkered flag? In Friday night's race, Brett Moffitt I think he was out front by 5 seconds.
Yep.
The late caution at the end of the race produced Sheldon Creed coming from 9th to 1st in less than 1 lap, and then on to win the championship. So that made it unbelievably exciting. Allgaier looked like he was on his way to a championship on Saturday. And the same thing happened. We get a caution flag with 2 to go. We go green, white, checker, overtime. And Cindric, pulls a bonsai up the gut. Probably he was in the middle of probably 4 wide to come out of there with the win. And, we're all standing on the edge of our seat cheering. Sunday, here's what I find interesting, and this is where I'm going to be very transparent. Chase Elliott dominated. He was a man among boys, wasn't he? If you follow what I mean by that. He's a kid's 24 years old, for crying out loud.
Yep.
And that they were a man among boys in that race. They just had them covered, dominated. Yes, there were different leaders, and for that, I will give that a good grade. But here's what I found interesting was Jeff Gluck. We all know who Jeff Gluck
Absolutely.
is on Twitter, and he always puts out that tweet, was it a good race or not, right? You're familiar with that?
Absolutely.
And I was curious to see where everybody landed, so I voted, and I clicked on it. I could see then what the vote was. And I believe at the time, it was 69-31 in favor of a good race. Those are high marks for those that follow Jeff, and you do, so you know what I'm talking about. Okay, I didn't see that being 70% good, 30% bad. I would have thought it would have been more, 50-50. But it dawns on me then that the people who are voting are 9-car fans.
Yes.
And I'm not sure that they were saying that it was a great race.
It's a great outcome.
Much as it was a great outcome.
Yes.
It turned, so I'm not always too keen on polls and things of that nature, and I think that kind of proved it out. I thought the racing was good. I've never been disappointed with racing at Homestead, ever. You've got 5 lanes there that you can use, and we always saw 5 lanes in action. We used 5+ lanes when we dropped the green flag on a restart.
Right. Yes, that's about it.
But that's about it. Sure, Chase was running a lower line than everybody else was. That's fine, but that's not as significant as what it would be if we were racing a Homestead. So all in all, I give Phoenix an A. There's no doubt about it. It's a great city. It's a great venue. It will take me, and we were talking about this together, some of the MRN guys, that it's going to take us a year or two to get it where we understand that we're not going somewhere after Phoenix. We are all sitting there going, this isn't the last race of the year. The last race of the year is after Phoenix. The season can't be done yet. So it's going to take us some time to get used to that. But we have to. We have no choice. We're not going to Homestead to close out the season. We go to Phoenix. And the sooner we all understand that, probably the better people like me will be, and we won't think, man, there's got to be one more race this weekend. Yeah. I've already put my suitcase away, and it just felt awkward.
Sure. Yes, I'm with you. All right, so a couple of retirees this weekend, Clint Boyer, Jimmy Johnson. We'll get to that in a second. First, the MRN group said goodbye to Winston Kelly this past weekend. Talk about that, longtime vet with MRN. What did that mean for you guys to have someone in the booth step away after this weekend?
Well, it was emotional. I'll use that word right up front. It was emotional from the time we got on the ground on Thursday. We all went out there. There was a group of us that went out just a little bit earlier than the others. And while we practiced, of course, social distancing and everything like that, we rented a boat and we spent some time out on the water together with Winston, and basically had the opportunity to just hang out as friends. Because I will tell you this, Brandon, first and foremost, yes, we are colleagues. We've been colleagues for years, but this team. You know them better than a lot of the listeners do. We are very close friends.
Yes. Yep.
We are family. We spend more time a lot of times with that family than we do with our own real family. So we went out early and had the opportunity to get out on the water and just kind of reminisce before we got to the track. The Motor Racing Network had prepared just a spectacular piece that we played during the NASCAR Live pre-race show, and it had all of us choked up. He's been with the network for 34 years.
That's crazy.
He's the executive director of the NASCAR Hall of Fame. He is the classiest individual that I know. He defines the word class and integrity. He is somebody who has been a leader, a mentor, and a friend of anybody that knows him. And so we lose that. We're going to lose not only his expertise, we're going to lose his friendship, but we lose his leadership as well. We lose it on the weekends that we travel. I won't lose it indefinitely because Winston and I will maintain a friendship until we're done. And that means me going to see him in North Carolina or he coming to see me in Michigan. But it's going to leave a big hole. There's no doubt about it.
Oh, nice words. I love that. I could feel the emotion. Yeah, that's how you started that, and I could feel that, and that's it's awesome, and it's not awesome. Like everyone's got to step away at some point, and open the next door for themselves and someone else in the sport and all that kind of stuff, and it's good from that side of things.
Yeah.
All right, Clint Boyer, Jimmy Johnson. Their last race. At least they got some fans there. Neither one of those two guys got the appropriate send-off that I feel that they deserve to be able to get from the sport with, full pomp and circumstance at the track for all 36 races. Did you have a chance to catch up and do an interview or talk to those guys on MRN at all over the weekend or anything like that?
Yeah, absolutely. I did a one-on-one with Jimmy for our NASCAR Live pre-race show. So I actually had a chance to Zoom talk with Jimmy. That will be something that I will remember for a long time. That is being played on MRN, and you can go back and listen to it. It's all out there on the Motor Racing Network, MRN.com. So that was cool. Then fast forward to Sunday. Yes, we talked to both Clint and to Jimmy. Here's what we came away with. Clint was far more emotional than I thought we were going to get. Steve Post was the one who interviewed Clint, and basically when we cracked the mic, we could sense the emotion. And you typically get a long, fun, wide open interview with Clint. Not this time. It was short, soft, quiet, straight to the point. And you could sense the emotion. He leaves us now and goes and works with Jeff Gordon and Mike Joy beginning in Daytona in the broadcast booth. As far as Jimmy Johnson was concerned, Winston Kelly interviewed him both before and after the race. And obviously there was some emotion there, but there was also a lot of respect one to the other. Jimmy is well aware of who Winston Kelly is, and we're all well aware of who Jimmy is. And I thought Jimmy handled himself on Sunday with all of the class and dignity that you would come to expect from Jimmy. He's a leader in that area. Winston said goodbye to Jimmy. Jimmy said goodbye to Winston. I thought the 8,000 fans that were in attendance at Phoenix Raceway were loud, vocal. I appreciated that when they said Clint's name or Jimmy's name or Chase's name. You could hear them, and I thought that was pretty cool. So it wasn't what we wanted, meaning would have been nice if we'd have had 60,000 there, but we had 8, and I think everybody understood where we were at that time in our life, and we made the best of it. And I can tell you this, I'm going to miss Jimmy in January or February rather. I'm going to miss Clint on the racetrack in February, but I have a feeling they're not going to be too far away.
Yeah, no, I'm with you 100% for sure. And, it's going to be cool to see Jimmy in something different. There's definitely going to be maybe some crossover. Maybe we get some new followers, listeners, and eyes on the sport when Jimmy, hops in the Indy car and vice versa. So, and that's never a bad thing. All right, let's talk about, I know we touched on these two specific drivers earlier. Denny Hamlin, Kevin Harvick. And the direction I want to go with this is, this is the 7th year of this format, as we talked about. Denny Hamlin, this is his 3rd or 4th trip to the Final Four in 7 years, has come up empty-handed every time. Kevin Harvick has been to the Final Four 5 times. He did come away with 1 win. The last time Harvick missed the Final Four, ironically enough, was when Jimmy won. Harvick missed this year. Chase won. I love the irony and how things and stats just kind of play, and you know, it makes fun talking points and all that kind of stuff. But when we look at Denny Hamlin, and you know, we know he's starting the 23 team with Jordan next year and Bubba Wallace, and that's going to be an incredible piece of history for the sport that starts next year, and excited for that. But when we look at Denny Hamlin's career, it's like that one piece. You know, he's got the 500s, he's got the Southern 500s, the Bristols, the Martinsville clocks. He's got, I don't know, 9 of them, I think. But to come up empty-handed 3 or 4 times, you know, does that say anything? Does it mean anything, or am I just looking too far into it?
Well, I think we all want to look too far into it. I'm right there with you. He's 0 for 3 in the championship 4, and he's finished 4th all 3 times. I mean, he's not even been a runner-up yet. I hate that for him. He has a Hall of Fame career going, and he'll go there whether he, you know, wins a championship or not. So it's not important to you, and it's not important to me, and it's not even important to a Denny Hamlin fan, because he's accomplished everything that we would want in a successful driver, right?
Sure.
It's important to Denny. I mean, that's the last piece of the puzzle that, you know, sits on his desktop, and the entire puzzle is put together, and he's looking around for one piece that fell on the floor. Otherwise, this puzzle is done. Now, my concern with Denny is this. Was this his last real shot at winning a championship? Why do I say that? Well, like you just said, he now owns a race team. Don't tell me that there's not going to be at least a little bit of a distraction there, because
Sure.
That's not, you know, I mean, if you try to tell me that he won't be distracted by his new team, I'm not buying it.
Yep.
He's got Bubba driving for him. He's got Michael Jordan there. Don't tell me that there won't be some distraction, because there will be.
Yeah.
And the fact that he's, you know, I mean, let's face it, he's not getting any younger. He's at the probably the top age of his career now. How much longer will he go? And I don't know the answer to this, so I could only guess. Maybe he goes 4 or 5 more years, but I can't imagine that he would go much longer than that. So, you know how hard we all know how hard it is to make championship 4, right?
Yep.
Just ask Kevin Harvick. He'll tell you it's hard. And so when you get there, Brad Keselowski, Denny Hamlin, and, you know, you're getting up in your career. Your career isn't just beginning. In fact, your career is starting to wind down. You're still top, you know, and don't think I'm taking anything away from these drivers, because I'm not. They are at the top of their game. But how many more years will that game continue for Brad, for Denny? So I think for Denny, you know, I kind of felt bad, because I really thought that he was going to be the guy to beat. I thought it was going to go Logano. I'll be honest with you. I thought it was going to go Logano, Hamlin, Chase, Brad. And, you know, I kind of thought Denny was going to be up there and contend for it. And while he was there, he just never could get that car out front.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I'm with you. All right, Jeff. It's time.
Time for Chevy.
It's time for Chevy. All right.
Time to talk about Chevy.
It's time to talk about Chevy.
You know what? I hope you're getting paid for this segment with me.
Oh man, I wish.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? I need somebody that has enough cred with Chevy to get all 14 of our talks out to Chevy.
Understand. Understand.
All right, 9 wins for Chevy on the season, 5 for Chase, back-to-back wins for Chase. First time in his career he's done that, by the way, and a championship. Jeff,
Yeah.
Chevy back?
Yeah, it is for the time being. I think they're back. I think they're to the point where Ford and Toyota are right now. I still would like to see other Chevrolet drivers win besides just Chase Elliott on a regular basis. No other Chevy driver is a regular winner on tour. And you could look at Ford and say Brad won, Joey won, Harvick won, meaning more than just once.
Sure.
On the Toyota side, you had Truex and Denny. I mean, you got to remember, for Toyota, they've only got 5 teams. So, when 2 of their 5 have multiple wins, I think we say, okay, Toyota's doing just fine. And, oh, by the way, Kyle won also. So I think we're back to a par with everybody. We got a new car coming the year after next. That will be interesting to see.
Yes, sir.
What manufacturer comes out. Brandon, what I'd like to do, and I don't know, do you have a specific time frame or a segment that we're going to talk specifically about Chase Elliott?
Yes, I was going to go to him next. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So yes, then to answer your question, I think it's fair to say they're back. Probably a B plus or a B. And the only reason I would give them that rather than an A is because you've got to have somebody other than one driver winning on a routine basis, period. That's all.
I would agree with you 100%. I definitely, and I think the key thing here is if we were going to have this car for another 3, 4, 5 more years, then I would definitely be looking towards an upward trajectory with
Right.
Chevy. But the fact, like you mentioned, we got a new car coming out in 2022. Now, granted, that's an even playing field for everybody to a degree. I hope they can just maintain and not fall back down into the trenches again. So that is definite. I think that's the thing to keep an eye on. I would expect that they'll maintain par into 2021, but how do they come out 2022 for sure is going to be the interesting piece behind all of this.
Correct.
All right. Yes. Now, Chase Elliott. Let's start with this because I think this would be a fun direction to take it, and then we can get into Chase and his win and what that means for the sport and all that kind of stuff. Is this a Cinderella story, Jeff? Is the fact that he won at Martinsville when he was basically do or die, win or go home? He had his, I mentioned this a couple weeks on the show or last week with Steve Letarte. Chase Elliott's won 3 races for the last 3 years.
Right.
He picks up his 4th win, wins a spot at the championship. That's next level elevation there. That's taking the pressure and owning it. So would you view this as Cinderella or no? That it was, he deserved it. He was there and he won it and kicked ass in the final race.
Well, and I think you can do all those things and still be a Cinderella story. There's no doubt. I mean, you don't get there unless you've got a ton of talent and you're taking advantage of every opportunity, and they did that. Now, I would call it a Cinderella story from the standpoint we're talking about a 24-year-old kid who is only competing in his 5th full-time season, and now we're referring to him as champion Chase Elliott. That's pretty big. Kyle Busch never did that. Kevin Harvick never did that. Dale Jr. never did that. So, when you look at it like that, you've got to say that it certainly has Cinderella tendencies to that story, no doubt. And the other thing is, too, that I just don't think that we were talking about champion Elliott when we were racing in Pocono or Dover this year or Michigan in August. It wasn't who's going to win the championship. Oh, Chase Elliott. No, that wasn't the case. We know that.
Yep.
It was who's going to win the championship? Harvick, Hamlin. I don't know, one of those two. So yeah, I think that he could see the brass ring. He did what he needed to reach up, grab it, and when he finally got his hands on it, he did not let go. And all the credit in the world goes to Chase Elliott and that team.
Absolutely. Well, and I think, the fact that you mentioned, he wasn't on the radar for a championship throughout the regular season. I think that's where I can say that's how I would say yes, it's a Cinderella story, because it's not the the guy who had the attention all year. It wasn't the Kevin Harvick, Chase Elliott battling it out, flip-flopping week after week. It was Kevin and Denny. Chase really, he's going to make the playoffs. It's just a matter of how far he can get. So the fact that was the narrative going really into the playoffs with Chase, and for him to walk away with it. So that's where I'd say, and I think people sometimes look and we say, it's a Cinderella story, like, they didn't deserve it, or, it was a fluke. No, it just means it's got a great ending to a great story. And I think, and so from that regard, it's not a negative that I think it's a Cinderella story. I think it's awesome. As everybody knows, I love good narratives, and, Chase Elliott winning is fantastic for the sport. And like you mentioned, it's only his 5th full year in the sport. He's going to be 25 later this month. And you mentioned, Kevin Harvick didn't do it. Kyle Busch didn't do it. All of these guys that are maybe not Kyle Busch towards the end of his career. I think he'll be around longer than obviously Kevin Harvick, Kurt Busch, Brad Keselowski, and all that. But the fact that Chase did it so early, I think that gives a good sign for the sport in terms of, hey, the guard's changing, and we're going to be in good hands with talented drivers in Chase Elliott, Ryan Blaney, Christopher Bell, Cole Custer, Austin Cindric when he comes up in a year. The sport's going to be okay. And I think the fact that a young guy was able to go out there, compete, and beat the likes of Kevin Harvick and Martin Truex Jr. In the last race of the round of 8. It says a lot for him, obviously, but I also think it gives a good message that, maybe your favorite driver is going to be leaving here soon, but there's ample talent coming up to get that new driver.
I wish that our season would start in about another 2 or 3 weeks, because the momentum that Chase afforded all of us in NASCAR, I'd like to ride that momentum. We can't do it. We can't do it in any sport. We always have to have a little bit of downtime. But when you get your face on the USA Today and Sports Illustrated and this and that, and you're on Good Morning America, that's big. And I wish we could turn right around and say, hey, if you want to embrace this kid, go right ahead. He's racing again this weekend at such and such a racetrack at 1:00. That would be huge. I wish we could do that. Now, I'm going to tell you something. This is something I was thinking about that I wanted to do special for this particular podcast with you, Brandon. And that is, I'm going to give you a thought on Chase Elliott. I'm going to tell you why I think this kid could turn out to be unstoppable. Unstoppable, does that mean he's going to win 7 championships? No. But I do think that he is poised and ready to go on a career tear, maybe unlike we've seen in a while. And let me tell you why. When you look at his 10 wins, and I'm going to quiz you, and I'm going to put you on the spot. You know the sport well enough. Where is the majority of his 10 wins come from?
Road courses?
Road courses, number 1. Now, he just won at Martinsville and at Phoenix. Can you think of anything that might be in common between those 2 tracks?
They're not intermediates or super speed.
They're flat. Yeah. They're flat. They're flat tracks. What is significant about a road course? 1, you turn right and left, but they're flat tracks. They're finesse tracks. They're easy on, easy off on the throttle, right? A.J. Allmendinger once said, and I won't forget this, that he made the comment, the reason I'm good at Phoenix, and he was, if you remember, was that I drive Phoenix very similar to the way that I would race on a road course. We all know that he is a tremendous road course talent.
Absolutely.
All right, so here's where I'm going with this. He has just shown the world that he can win at Martinsville. He can win at Phoenix. He can win on any road course. And if you go back and look at what he has done on a road course, he isn't beating somebody to the line by a car length. He's killing them.
Yeah.
Go back to the Roval a year ago when he drove the car into the lead, head on into the fence. Where did he restart, Brandon? He went all the way to the tail end of the field, and what did he end up doing? He won.
Yep.
Are you kidding me? How do you do that? When he was at Phoenix this weekend, and I said it earlier, he was a man among boys. He dominated. Sure, they were right there with him. I get it. But at the end of the day, he was a dominating driver. And he's dominating on tracks that take tremendous skill. Okay? When we go to Daytona and Talladega, we go hammer down. We're wide open. If we can make it through the crash and we know what we're doing, we can win. When we get to Michigan and we're running, 200 miles an hour, or Texas, while it takes tremendous skill, don't get me wrong, we're wide open around those tracks.
Yep.
And as long as my car can handle, and I'm saying top flight driver, all the talent in the world. If I can hold my car down, if I get the thing set up off the trailer right, I'm going to be a force to be reckoned with. I got it. But when you take and you look at where Chase Elliott is excelling right now, he's excelling on tracks that are absolutely hands down the toughest to drive on.
100%.
You see where I'm going with this?
Absolutely. Yep.
There's something about Chase Elliott and his ability to drive a race car that is probably going to see him in victory lane more often than not. Kyle Busch has it. And if you said who else has got it, I'm not sure. Harvick has a maturity level today unmatched by any other driver, in my opinion. That's his key. Truex has a little bit of that same driving style that Chase is now adapting to. But, Brandon, I'm here to tell you what I saw of Chase. I was at Martinsville. I was at Road America, or Watkins Glen when he won there a year ago. I was at Phoenix. This kid has a talent that isn't just, I'm hammered down, wide open, I don't lift. No, that's Ross Chastain. Ross Chastain is hammered down, wide open, aggressive, and he's going to be good at it. Chase Elliott has a unique ability to feather the throttle, feather the brake, and use finesse on a racetrack when necessary. And I think for those reasons, we are going to see Chase Elliott reel off wins in a big, big hurry.
I love everything you just said, Jeff. Wouldn't want to. You can't disagree with any of that. That's the thing. He is dominating at the toughest tracks where you've got to lift and you got to have you got to manage the brakes, you got to manage the tires. Like, I love it.
Yep,
100%. All right, Jeff. We'll wrap with two fun things here. The first. Daytona, I think I got the countdown on the website. We're, 94 days, I think, something like that, 95 from the Daytona 500. There's so many things that we could roll with, whether it's, Matt DiBenedetto's second year, first time he's got 2 years at the same team. We've got Chase Briscoe coming up. We've got Kyle Larson coming back into the sport. We've got Bowman moving. The silly season's taken its course here early on. Jeff, what's the early 2021 headline? What are we going to see after the first 4 or 5 races? What are we going to be talking about?
Well, I think the headline is going to be Chase Elliott returns to Daytona to defend. Okay, that's easy because it's such a huge story, no doubt. Now, I think hands down the biggest potential headline early in the season is going to be Kyle Larson returns and ... What is it? Kyle Larson returns and wins. Kyle Larson returns and stumbles to find his footing. My guess is that, if my guess is going to be that Kyle Larson returns and wins. We head out to California shortly after Daytona. He's good there. I wouldn't be the least bit surprised to see Kyle Larson win at California. Mark that tape right there, and we'll see whether that happens, Brandon, or not. But I think that that's going to be the biggest story. Yes, you've got, one driver going from the 88 to the 48. Okay, that's not that big of a deal. Kyle Larson's return, in my opinion, is a big deal. Chase defending is a huge deal. I want to see what Chase Briscoe and Ross Chastain can do at this level. I think both of them have the ability to succeed, and both of them are coming into very good cars. Briscoe to the 14, Chastain to the 42 for Ganassi. Both of them very capable of winning in their first year. So I don't know, my friend. I think that, Harvick is got to be coming back loaded for vengeance. Denny Hamlin has to be. Kyle Busch coming off an awful season. He's going to be trying to right the ship. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised to see a brand new crew chief on the box for the 18 by the time we get to Daytona. There's a lot that's going to play out over the course of the next 3 months.
I'm looking forward to every minute of it, too. Every minute. All right, last one for you. Anything fun lined up for the off season? You going to try to get anywhere COVID safe, obviously, and all that good stuff. But what's lined up for the off season? Holidays, family, friends, all that good stuff.
2 words: Key West.
Yes, sir. I know that played a role, I think, in not getting a homestead. And I know you love to head down there after homestead.
Yeah, and because we can't, we're leaving for Key West, I think, in 2 weeks. And
awesome.
I hate to say this, but I'm also returning there at least twice before we go back to Daytona. I'm going to go see my buddy Joe Moore, Motor Racing Network's Joe Moore. I'm going to go spend some time with him. Julie and I are going to head down there twice. And it's just, kind of our home away from home.
Sure.
And so we're going to get down there and take advantage of what we hope will be good weather. We'll go through the holidays and try to do a little bit of traveling where it's warm and get ready to go back on the road. And hopefully when we do, and this is something that I really want to leave you with, Brandon, and everybody listening. We missed the fans this year. Racing is not racing without the fans in the grandstands wearing the 14 shirt or the 48 or the 9 or the 22 shirt and waving a hat or a flag and being out in the infield and interacting with one another. I love to see somebody that is wearing a number 1 Chevy Kurt Busch fan having a beer with somebody who's wearing a number 2 Ford fan or a number 2 Ford shirt for Brad Keselowski. And they're just, they're at the campground and they're having fun. And then the next day they can go and have fun and cheer on their favorite driver. The fans were missed this year. I would hope that we have them back. And I would hope that if you're listening to this podcast, you'll think of what track you want to go to. And then sometime in the next week or 2, you reach out to that track and say, where are we at right now? Is it too early for me to get my tickets and my camping site? Some tracks it will be. Other tracks are opening up to some degree or another. But my hope is that, before too long, we can start seeing packed houses again, because the race fan being missed, in my opinion, would have to be story number 1. We can race. We did it. That's how I started the whole thing with you. We raced. Kudos to NASCAR for what they did. But it's just not the same when the race fans are not in attendance.
100%. Yes. Let's get back to the track. All right, Jeff, where can everybody follow you on social media?
Jeff Striegle, at Jeff Striegle on Twitter. Same on Facebook. Same on Instagram. And Brandon, what are you going to do? I need to turn the tables here. Before you say goodbye to me and before I say goodbye to you, what do you got planned for the remainder of the season? What can the fans look forward coming from you?
Next week we're going to do some listener call-in shows, and just talk to the listeners and the followers of the show, what they think of the season and all that good stuff. The week after that's going to be a recap of the season-long tally of the Lucky Dog lap down picks. Got the year-end awards coming up in a couple weeks as well. We're not done yet. We're going to have some fun. I'm sure I'll do a couple best ofs come, the week of Christmas, New Year's, and all that kind of stuff, and get fired back up in January with the Lab Traffic Fantasy League and all that kind of good stuff. And so that's what's going on with the show. And Jeff, the house is already decorated for Christmas, outside, inside.
Unbelievable. But you know what? You live in Canada, so you've already got snow on the ground, right? Probably up there.
Oh, it's fun. When we were putting up the tree, Jeff, like before it was 70 degrees and sunny, like we're putting up the trees and decorating inside, and literally like a blizzard came through for about a half an hour. It didn't stick, obviously, but it was just funny as hell because, of course, here we are November 1st putting stuff up in Southeast Michigan, and like snow's blowing through here while we're decorating. Like, I took full credit for that one.
Actually, I forgot that you used to be in southern Canada. Now you're in southern lower Michigan.
Yes.
Same deal. I'm in southwest lower Michigan. You're in southeastern lower Michigan. And what milestone do you have coming up? Do you have any milestones coming up as far as number of programs? I know you hit one.
Tonight's 209, which is just so ironic that it's episode 209 celebrating the Nines championship win. Man, the milestones were hit early with episode 200, crossed the 5,000 follower mark on Twitter, which was big. And next year we'll definitely hit a few more for sure.
Well, I'd like to join you. So
absolutely.
Have a great Thanksgiving. Have a happy holiday. Merry Christmas. And anytime you want to get together and interact, I'd love to do it. And maybe we can do it sometime when we do have some fan interaction. That'd be fun to do also. So appreciate you having me on.
Of course, brother. All right, Lab Traffic Nation, huge thanks to Jeff Striegle with MRN for calling into the show once again. Jeff, hope you, the family, have a safe, happy holidays, safe travels, all that good stuff, and look forward to talking to you very soon, brother.
We'll catch up soon, buddy. Take care.
Oh, wow. Lab Traffic Nation. Jeff Striegle is just probably one of the coolest individuals in the sport as far as I'm concerned. Changed my mind. I dare you. Just love Jeff. So awesome. Just so giving of his time and all that good stuff. And I've said that 14 times already. So cannot wait for his 15th appearance. Maybe I have to do something special for that. That's for sure. All right, let's keep things rolling. You heard Jeff defiantly say no when I was trying to get out. And the question that I posed to you guys was, everyone was like, Harvick should be in it. It's not right that he's not in it. Okay, then. Well, if, and I almost didn't put this out there because I didn't want people thinking like I was biasly trying to get Harvick in there just because you all know I'm a Kevin Harvick fan. Was I bummed from the fan in me? Absolutely. And I love seeing all the passion from all the four fans out there. But like I said with Jeff, I don't want to change the playoff structure. Sometimes it just doesn't work out, and that's what happened. But that said, so I posed a question to you guys. Should the regular season winner get an automatic bid to the final five? Keep everything else the way it is, but instead of 4 guys, 5 guys are going to race for it and decide the championship. And it's crazy. Excuse me, the different responses that some of you guys had, and I love all of them. And so I'm going to hit you with them. Mick at GoDucks42_Mick. No, leave it alone. If they change anything, change how the Rookie of the Year is decided. I love that. Eddie at Eddie_EG3. No, absolutely not. The regular season champ has the same opportunity as the rest of the playoff drivers to make the championship 4. You don't perform well, you don't deserve to make it in. Can't argue that. William at William_Allen_4. I would say yes, I'm happy with how it is now, but if we had that now, today's race would have had a whole different outcome. Dale at TrekSdale835. I hate that one race decides a championship. Have a playoff, but run each style track with 4 or 5 drivers for the championship. I mean, that's rewriting everything, and I don't hate that idea. hit each of the tracks and see what happens. Extend the regular season a little bit. That could be interesting. That's a great idea. Jeff at JBev1789. I don't like the advantage of 9 weeks of testing for the regular season champ under this scenario. Instead of 15 points, make it 30 or 45, a huge advantage, but still in the end have to earn it and can't coast to get to the round of 8. The final needs a tweak as well. 1 point for each win to start the race. James at Gold, Cold, Snow. Nope. I like the format. You need to keep earning your way into the playoffs. Nothing should be given. Agree with you 100%. NASCAR Chasers 1419, NASCAR Chaser 1419 at NASCAR Chasers 11 should be regular season champ and 3 others. That's a neat perspective. Roger at ROJODI champ 5, regular season champ plus 4 survivors, no win and in. All 9 races are called survival rounds. Best 4 advance to the Phoenix 500K race. Man, it's a twist. Kevin at KMKOLA. No. Race proved best 4 of the playoff race today. Harvick was bad the last round. Hamlin still choked when it counts. Guy G at not the other guy. No. There's no other sport where the regular season champ gets a guaranteed spot in the finals. That's what Jeff was mentioning there with the March Madness reference. It's part of the built-in drama associated with the playoff system. Harvick had a couple of relatively bad rounds with no wins and paid the price. No need for sweeping changes. I'm with you. Will at Excellent Will. Yes, because we don't need to be like every other major sport. We're NASCAR, not a NBA or NFL. We can play by our own rules, and right now they suck. Let's see. Brian at Breed Sports. I think anyone who wins in the playoffs should be eligible for the final. Up to 9 drivers battling it out for the title in the final race would be interesting. I can't disagree that would not be interesting. That would be interesting. Bama Buddy at Bama Buddy 5. Chase Elliott fan here. I'm really happy with the result today, but overall, not a supporter of the sudden death last race round of the 4. I'd like to see a playoff that resets the points and total playoff points wins the championship. Spin 30 at Spin 30. Not as much as I was disappointed that Harvick missed the Final 4. The playoffs did exactly what they were supposed to do. The top 4 ran that way for most of the race. That they did. Loose Lugs at Lugs Pod. Absolutely not. Regular season champs are exactly that, regular season champs. You can't expect to not perform in the playoffs and still walk into the championship race. 100%. Volunteer Flame at Volunteer_Flame. Yes, I believe that change would be a good one and change the Rookie of the Year too. White and Nerdy at Terry Canton 4. Championship 6. Eliminate 2 drivers at the end of segment 2. The remaining 4 drivers fight for the title. Look at that. Let's see here. Bowen at Go Chase 9. No, because that gives the regular season champ a chance to lay off, basically. David at David the Daver. My knee-jerk reaction was let them in, but after a while, you're right. It's too many races left. OG Chase format is better than the eliminations, the more I think of it. Steve at S. Vandez 1234. No, I think one team, essentially a 9-week bye, is way too much. If anything, I think the final round should be 3 races just like the other rounds. The current format where essentially a driver could win 35 races, have a bad race at Phoenix, finish 4th is goofy. NASCAR is not a stick and ball sport. We need to get back to rewarding consistency across the whole season instead of creating Game 7 moments for entertainment purposes. Look at that. And Tim at Tattoo 49ers. Nope, keep it just how it is. If you can't win or finish good when it matters, then you don't deserve to be in the championship 4. Man, you guys brought the heat. I love the variety. I love it. You guys are amazing. And I thank you so much for all of your responses. I kind of gave my take with Jeff, but, regular season gets you to the playoffs. The outliers of what happened this year with Harvick, just like the outliers of the Giants beating the Patriots, should be rare enough that you don't need to make changes to counter outliers. I say keep it the way it is. Man, like I said, you guys brought it. Love the different responses. Love that some new followers got in the mix as well, for sure. All right. Let's keep rolling. Let's do a little live traffic social media. All right. Make sure you check out the website, thelaptrafficpodcast.com, Facebook, The Lap Traffic Podcast, YouTube, The Lap Traffic Podcast, Instagram and Twitter at Lap Traffic PC. Listen to the show on iTunes, Podbean, Google Play. Tell Alexa to play the Lap Traffic Podcast. All that good stuff. I'm still looking for, I think, about 40 followers to give away that prize pack. Keep the retweets and all that going. We'll get to 5,100 sooner or later here. Don't forget to go vote for the end of the year awards. You can go on the website, thelaptrafficpodcast.com. It's right on the homepage. You can click. It'll take you to a little 10-question survey there. So go vote for that. Shout outs to new followers. Steve Noon at NASCAR91, NASCAR fan from Minnesota. Kieran at K_Weber94, Team Penske and Brad Keselowski fan. HRF at honest_race_fan. Digs NASCAR and good music. Vintage NASCAR at Rocks Vintage, loves NASCAR and country music. Who doesn't? Welcome to the show, guys. Tell your friends, all that good stuff. Still mailing out stickers and koozies. If you want one, go to the website, thelaptrafficpodcast.com. Fill out the contact page, and I will get them out to you. All right. Well, now's about that time where we'd be hearing from either Aaron or Brian. Unfortunately, there's no race to call, so we'll get them back on the line at some point, though. I can promise you that. But right now, it is time for this week's A Lucky Dog and Lap Down Picks. I was very excited for this one. I kind of had an idea of where things were going to go. I wasn't wrong, but we'll get to yours here in just a second. My lucky dog of the race is Chase Elliott and the fans. My lap down is Denny Hamlin for the fact that he was the driver that had been to the Final Four the most, and it still is without a championship. All right, your tweeted responses: Scott at 1985 Wagner's Truck Edition lucky dog Sheldon Creed from out of nowhere. Lap down Brett Moffitt cruising along in the last second caution. Took a huge chomp out of that one there. Lucky dogs for his Xfinity picks. Austin Cindric, only because there was no real standout in the race. Lap down. NASCAR and NBC teams have a tough time finding sponsorship. No help not showing standings except for championship contenders. Elaine. Scott's Cup Edition lucky dog Chase from Survivor to championship in 8 days and spotter of the other 338 spots. Lap down, Keselowski's pit crew killed him. Willing to bet contenders do rent out their crew. Jess at Iowa NASCAR fans, lucky dog Chase winning the title in Johnson's last race is incredible. The torch has been passed. Buckle up, guys, because we have just seen Chase mature so much in the last 2 to 3 weeks. This might be the start of something. He learned to be clutch. No lap down for Jess. Rowdy at the Rowdy Dragons, lucky dog Chase, following in his father's footsteps, winning in his first of what could be many championships to come. Lap down 2020 tried to stop us from enjoying what we love, and it failed. Eddie at Eddie_EG3's lucky dog Sheldon Creed set the tone for championship weekend with his OT rally from 9th all the way to 1st in his first championship. Lap down Denny Hamlin, another great season without a championship. Eric Sauter, lucky dog Chase Elliott winning the 2020 championship. Jimmy getting a top 5 in his final start. A lap down, no more NASCAR until February, along with no more Johnson and Boyer with their retirement. Kristen at KHolligan79, lucky dog Jimmy Johnson for exiting the sport as a class act, and lap down to 2020 for being a bummer of a year, but congrats to Chase. Jeff at JBev1789's lucky dog, every fan who had the pleasure of watching Jimmy Johnson throughout his career, all the wins, championships, and memories. We've all been privileged to be able to see such an amazing driver. Thank you, Jimmy Johnson. Lap down, none. What an amazing year. Nicely put there, Jeff. Love it. Chad at Chad Allman10's lucky dog Chase winning the championship in walk-off fashion. A lap down for this being the last time we see Jimmy in the 48. With you. All right. Those are your tweeted picks, tweeted responses. Don't forget to start sending in your lucky dog and lap down picks for the entire season. Be on the lookout for the tweets for that, or just start sending them in, and I will keep track for that in a couple weeks. And don't forget also, if you want to be a part of the listener call-in show next week, make sure that you get a hold of me. You guys know how to do that. All right, let's get to your calls on the Wave Around hotline.
Hi, Brandon. It's Matt at Camper News, and what a way to end the 2020 NASCAR season. Chase Elliott winning in Martinsville in a must-win situation, going into Phoenix today, and having to start at the back of the field, and he comes up and wins the championship. And I am so excited for Chase Elliott. So excited for him, and, you know, definitely celebrating Chase Elliott's championship right now. I'm so excited, and I'm really looking forward to more things to come from Chase. And in the Xfinity Series and the truck race, the finishes for the championship were incredible, both Friday night and yesterday. So anyway, my lucky dog this week is going to go to Chase Elliott, as I mentioned, going from the back, failing the inspection twice to come up and win the championship. Unbelievable, must-win situation last week. And then winning the championship this week, Chase has been on a roll the last couple of weeks, and that's what you have to have in these types of situations. If you want to win the championship, you must click at the right time, and I think Chase Elliott clicked at the absolute right time. And my lap down is going to go to Brad Keselowski. He mentioned, I think, early in the playoffs that he's going to bring this car. He was so dominant with that car that he brought to Phoenix this weekend, and was hoping to have a shot at winning a championship, and unfortunately could not do that. But I know there are more good things to come from Brad, and I'm going to give an additional lucky dog to the Lap Traffic Fantasy League. An unbelievable season in the Lap Traffic Fantasy League, and most of all, congratulations to the winner of the Lap Traffic Fantasy League. It is well deserved, whoever it is, and I'm really looking forward to being a part of the Lap Traffic Fantasy League again next year. So anyway, enjoy your week as always, Brandon, Lap Traffic Nation, and I'll talk to you whenever that is, or if it's next week when I give my lucky dog and lap down picks for the season. So thank you so much, Brandon. Take care. Bye.
Matt, thank you as always for calling in. A couple of things I want to hit on there is you mentioned Brad Keselowski, and man, I think that car could have had a little bit more for Chase. I think his team penalized him a little bit behind the wall there. And you mentioned Chase Elliott. Man, he handicapped him. Well, he didn't handicap himself, but the team handicapped him in having to come from the back there. And I talked about it with Jeff a little while ago. Just incredible to be able to do what he did 2 races in a row. Like you said, you got to peak at the right time. He was peaking. And I'm so excited for NASCAR Nation, his fan base. Nothing but good things. That's for sure. All right. Let's get to the next call on the Wave Around Hotline.
Hey, Brandon, it's Kathleen at KHI Fan. And then there were none. I can't believe it's all over. #SadFace. I really hoped Enfinger would get the truck championship, but I do like Sheldon Creed and was happy that he got it. I think he'd make a great truck series career guy. He's not slick or polished, and to me, that fits what a truck series driver is. So it would be cool if he just stayed and wrote out a career. And, in a few years, he'd be a very cool, grizzled veteran, I think. I'm really bummed that Briscoe didn't get the Xfinity championship, especially since he's moving on and won't have another opportunity like Cindric will have. I really hope for next year that Allgaier can finally have a decent year and get himself a championship. It's like a gut punch every year for that poor guy. My lucky dogs this week are Boyer and Johnson because it was so cool that they were able to have a somewhat decent send-off on that last race with fans in the stands and their families there with them. It just would have been tragic if it would have been an empty, grandstands and nobody, none of their loved ones could attend. So I was happy that they at least got that. My lap down is that we didn't get to see someone outside the championship 4, namely Harvick, shake up the race and be the first non-contender to win the finale. I think we're 7 years in now, and every year it's been the race winner is in the final four, and therefore becomes the champion. So maybe next year. And before I go, I want to wish a big congrats to Joe Huson for a job well done, nabbing the fantasy championship. I had a blast playing this year, and I can't wait for next year. I'm going to come back strong. I'm warning you right now. Anywho, that's all I have. I'll talk to you later. Bye.
Oh, Kathleen, thank you so much for calling in. I say that every year, too. I'm going to come back strong. One of these years, maybe it'll be you or I or both of us in the Final Four competing against each other. That would be fun for sure. You mentioned Allgaier, and, man, I've said it before. Last year, he got the Final Four spot, but it didn't feel like he had a Final Four spot just in terms of the level of competition between the big three. This year, Allgaier stepped it up, had a few more wins, was up there a little bit more consistently, and felt like, all right, yeah, Allgaier earned. That's not that he didn't earn it last year, but it just felt more appropriate that he was in there this year. So hopefully maybe a second year he'll be able to maybe go and get that, because I'm with you. Yeah, it just seems like, man, he just can't seem to get it done, and definitely deserving of one. That's for sure. All right. Let's get to the last call on the Wave Around Hotline. I'm excited for this one. You know who it is. It is the voice of the Wave Around Hotline.
What's going on, Left Traffic Nation? Voice of the Wave Around Hotline championship winner chance. Wow, I don't even know where to start. I've been a NASCAR fan my whole life, and this is the first time I can ever remember a driver that I root for win the championship. I was speechless when he crossed that line. I'm still speechless right now. What isn't speechless is my bank account that now has to buy a shirt, a hat, the race-winning diecast, the championship diecast. All in all, I had a kind of good time watching it. It was kind of hard to watch when you're kind of pacing around the couch. In terms of Phoenix being the championship race, it was kind of an race. I didn't love the actual racing itself, but it didn't suck. I'll give it an okay. We'll see. I think I know where the championship's going to be going in the next couple of years, and I'll keep that one to myself for now. But we know that it's going to be in Phoenix next year as well. And I hope everyone enjoyed the season. For someone who complained about the season as much as I did, it's pretty freaking ironic that my favorite driver is the champion. So it is what it is. Lap down, nothing. I'm going to be positive. And Lucky Dog is the old number 9 team. See you later, bud.
Mr. Andrew Kant, what did you do? Were you making like a blended drink in the background there? What was going on there, brother? Let me know. Oh man, I am so happy for you, PETM lab. All the Chase Elliott fans out there. Oh man, I know your bank account's hurting. I know mine hurt after Harvick won, but that's all right. You need that memory, and I support that 100%. Hell, I may have even ordered a Chase Elliott championship diecast. So I'm very excited for you guys. Very happy for you guys. I know that pacing. I've done that pacing once or twice. It's nerve-wrenching, that's for sure. All right, that is going to do it for this week's Lucky Dog Lap Down segment. Don't forget, I'll send out some tweets to send in your season-long Lucky Dog Lap Down picks that could be different from this past weekend. So start sending those in, and in a week or so here, we'll get the season totals for all the Lucky Dog Lap Down picks and all that stuff that's been tracked all season long, which is very cool. So definitely looking forward to that. And all right, we got one more thing to do. All right, Lap Traffic Nation, we're going to close this thing out one last time this year with a little Lap Traffic fantasy, but there's no picks to make. All there is to congratulate Joe Huson on an outstanding Lap Traffic Fantasy League regular season, the playoffs. Joe was there from start to finish. Joe, what's going on, man? How are you? Congratulations, brother.
Doing great. Thank you very much. Hi, all of Lap Traffic Nation.
Yes, man. Welcome to the show. Man, I got to tell you, last week was one of the funnest, I'm going to say funnest, right? Fantasy segments to have all four of you guys on and that to work, man. That was a lot of fun last week.
Yeah, it really was. Yeah, that was awesome. It's I think we managed to do pretty well, not talking over each other and stuff like that, which can be a problem with that many people.
Yes, for sure, especially on a Zoom when no one can kind of see and all that good stuff. All right, let's start with this, man. What do you think of the racing this weekend?
I thought it was pretty great. I mean, the different races kind of played out differently with the caution at the end of the truck and Xfinity that really shook things up, and then not having a caution in the Cup race kind of worked out well if you're a Chase fan. But
right.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty exciting all around.
Absolutely. All right. So here are the final standings. The final four finished. Joe Huson earned 102 points this past weekend. And you kind of ran away with it, much like Chase did, because Robert Riggs in second with 87, Matt Camper in third with 86, and then Joe Nolf in fourth with 82. Things could have been a little different had Sheldon Creed not finished for you. It was definitely the truck race that won this thing for you.
Yeah, it really was. Yeah, that was just crazy. I mean, you can only imagine how much excitement I had there watching him diving it into turn one and passing it had to be like 10 cars in one corner.
Absolutely. Yes.
That was one of the craziest things. And I thought that was appropriate too, because Creed, I thought, kind of was underpicked really across the board. But, for me as well, this whole season, he was winning stages. He, had great finishes, and, he doesn't necessarily have a long history in the truck series, but he really did really well this year. And, I don't think I ever picked him until that last race, so I thought it was an appropriate ending.
That's awesome. I love that. All right, yes or no on the move to Phoenix? Did you would you rather had them been at Homestead, or did you like the move to Phoenix?
That's a good question. I mean, I'm okay with moving it around every 2 or 3 years or something like that. I mean, Homestead was amazing for so many years, but Phoenix still worked out great. Yeah, I was surprised a little bit to see the top four really in all three races. The top, the championship four pretty much ran up front the whole race.
Yes.
Which NASCAR has to be happy about that. It's kind of remarkable that it ended up working out that way, but yeah, I thought it worked out fine. I'd be in favor of moving it again every few years or so, just
Sure.
to kind of mix it up and give, if somebody's great at Phoenix, give them a shot. If they're terrible at Phoenix, then in a few years, maybe give them a chance somewhere else.
Sure. No, I'm with you there 100%. All right. So here's the thing. There have been no repeat. So this is the fourth year at Lap Traffic Fantasy. There's never been a repeat winner of the championship in Lap Traffic Fantasy. So you've got the chance to make history next year. I hope that I at least have some say in it, but I've said that for 4 years and have been a non-factor. But are you up for the challenge of trying to be the first back-to-back Lap Traffic Fantasy winner?
Oh, you know it. I'm definitely going to try and defend. I won it in the rookie season. Now I got to try and defend it year two.
Yes, absolutely. And hey, it's always that sophomore year that could make or break things too, so.
That's true. Sophomore slump, right?
Yes, absolutely. All right. I will tell you this. I'm going to give you a little teaser here. I mentioned it last week. The hardware is sweet. It's an actual trophy. And all I'm going to say is there may be a ring associated with it, and I think it's pretty sweet, man. So
wow.
Yes. So I will be reaching out to you because I think you maybe got a shirt coming too. I got to go look. I don't remember what the prizes were, but everybody that won segment 1, segment 2, the champ 4, I'll be sending out emails to you guys to get shirt size, shirt colors, and all that stuff here, possibly tomorrow by the end of the week for sure, and get everything ordered and out to you guys before the holidays for sure. So be on the lookout for those emails. How about it, man? Any plans in the off season? What do you got going on?
Yeah, I mean, just I guess we got the holidays coming up. That's always something. I think we'll probably just be hanging around. I got some. My fiance's family is up in Ohio. We may head up there for one or the other, and just spend some time with them. Not watching NASCAR. She's going to be happy about at least a couple months off of me not watching hours on end of NASCAR racing every weekend.
I know how that goes. Yes, for sure, for sure.
How about you?
Just going to kind of lay low. I know we're probably going to run up north, as we in Michigan like to call it. Go check out the snow and all that kind of stuff up north once or twice. I know there's been some talk of maybe renting a cottage or a cabin up near Traverse City and Boyne and all that, and having some fun up there for a few days and all that good stuff. But we'll host Christmas and Thanksgiving for anyone that wants to come and all that good stuff. And yeah, just looking forward to relaxing, having some fun, doing some different shows that don't maybe require as much prep work and all that good stuff. So looking forward to the next couple of weeks for sure, man. Yeah,
definitely. Yeah, hopefully if there is a fan call-in show, I'd love to be a part of that and maybe talk about a few more subjects.
Next week, man, it's happening. So okay. If you want to be the first official person, since this hasn't been posted yet, if you're down, I'll get a hold of you after we wrap up here, and we'll get something scheduled for next week, man.
Yeah, absolutely. That'd be great.
Awesome, man. All right, man. Well, listen, good luck, safe travels over the holiday season and all that good stuff. Hope you enjoy the holidays, and look forward to having you back defending the Lap Traffic Fantasy Championship next year, man.
Absolutely. Thanks a lot for hosting it and for the show and for everything. It's really a lot of fun. For anybody listening that didn't play this year, definitely think about jumping in next season.
Absolutely. Definitely want to have some new members and followers for sure. All right, man. We'll talk to you soon.
All right. Sounds good.
All right. We'll see ya. All right, Lap Traffic Nation, that is going to do it for episode 209 of the Lap Traffic Podcast. Make sure you check out the website, thelaptrafficpodcast.com. Like on Facebook. Follow on Twitter @LapTrafficPC. Huge thanks to Jeff Striegle, Joe Huson for calling in. Next week, listener call-in show. Let me know if you want to be a part. Don't get caught chasing the lucky dog. Make sure you tune in each and every week to the Lap Traffic Podcast. See ya!